You've heard of The Bachelor. You've heard of The Bachelorette. You might have even heard of The Bachelor in Paradise. So today, we, as co-hosts, are thrilled to bring you the newest Bachelor show, and it is called The Bachelor in Money Paradise.
Now, this is not official. Chris Harrison has absolutely no idea who we are, but we were like, you know what? Have you ever wanted to be the Bachelor or the Bachelorette? Well, you can. Every single one of you today is becoming the Bachelor, is becoming the Bachelorette, and choosing their soulmate when it comes to investing.
Minus the pettiness, a little bit of drama, but definitely high stakes in the game. Who will you choose and who will go home?
So just like The Bachelor has many, 25 contestants to choose from, so too, we are giving you 4 investments today for you to decide which is the best match for you.
And let me tell you, these 4 are all eligible bachelors. So starting off, we are bringing you contestant number 1. Please welcome to the stage individual stocks. And the crowd goes wild.
Investing in an individual stock is literally becoming an owner, a teeny little owner of that company. So let's say, for example, it's Apple. You say, I love Apple so much. I think Apple has so much potential to grow. I think they're gonna do incredible in the next 5, 10, 20 years. I want to be a part of that. So it's taking your money, putting it where your mouth is, and saying, I now want a stake in Apple. But understand, you have a stake in Apple. So if it goes up,
you do well. Your stock goes up. Your money goes up. If it does poorly, guess what? You do poorly as well. Your money, you lose some of it. So just like contestant number 1, if you were to get married in sickness and in health, you are with Apple. Now you might be sitting there and wondering, like, what about us? Like, can you invest in our company? And the truth is, sorry to break it to you, we are not a contestant on this show. And that is because we are not a public company. You can only invest in companies that are public. So, sorry, you're gonna have to wait for us to get on the bandwagon. Maybe we'll be on the next season of Bachelor.
But understand that investing in an individual stock is risky.
Yes.
It's risky because you are putting all your eggs in one basket in one company. That company has a scandal, which companies do have scandals.
All the time. It doesn't have to be fraud. It could be like the CEO, there's sexual harassment, there's,
they were lying about their numbers, whatever it is, like your investment can go down to 0. And you need to be ready for that. And so too with a relationship, like you're taking a risk with contestant number 1.
So let's say this contestant number 1 guy, he has awesome perks. You really believe in his potential in the future. You're ready to take this journey with him, but he's never dated anyone before. There's a huge risk. Does he know how to treat a lady? Is he ready for this relationship? Is he emotionally available? Like, is he ready to put in the necessary work to please you?
Does he even know where to take you out on a date? Like, you're just taking a huge risk by dating him.
So you might be saying, listen, I'm interested in contestant number 1, but you know what? I'd love to two-time. And I'd love to date contestant number 1 while also checking out contestant number 2.
So
who is contestant number 2? Please welcome to the stage Exchange Traded Fund, or as he likes to go by, ETFs.
Welcome, ETF. So who is ETF? ETF is a basket of stocks. It's saying, I'm gonna take 5, 10, 100, 500 individual stocks, put them together, and allow people to buy a teeny part of all of those companies. You can have an ETF in any type of sector or industry. You can have a tech ETF, you can have a biotech ETF, you can have a retail ETF. So an ETF is just saying, I believe in this industry at large, I believe in this sector of the industry, like I want in if it does well. And you need to understand that's a lot less risky than buying just one company.
So let's just delve a little bit deeper and explain why it's a little less risky. Because with an individual stock, your stock does well, you do well. But that's on a good day. On a bad day, your stock does bad, guess what?
You do bad.
You do bad. All your money does bad. Versus an ETF who you have all these different stocks and they kind of balance each other out. So on any given day, some of the stocks in your ETF, your basket, also known as your portfolio, I know, new word, some stocks can do well and some stocks can do bad, but guess what? They always level out. And not always. Sometimes your ETF, more stocks will do well than do bad. So guess what? As a whole, your ETF went up that day.
Think about it like an ETF of companies, let's say you have Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and Tesla. All 4 of those in an ETF.
Wow, crazy
let's say, because I feel like Tesla's like crazy right now, maybe they have a crazy scandal. Elon Musk, don't kill me, I'm sorry. Let's say they have a crazy scandal and they drop to 0. This is a crazy scenario.
I don't think that will ever happen. That's a crazy scenario.
Okay, but crazy scenario, let's say it drops to 0. If you had bought an individual stock in Tesla, you're at 0.
Forget it, you lost so much money.
But if it was only 1 out of 4 stocks in your ETF, then it's down 25%, but you're not at 0. It's less risky.
25% because you had 4 stocks, only 1, so that's 25%.
Good.
I don't know. I just need to help the math people out there because I am totally with you. I got you, okay? I always have your back.
So relating it to a contestant, who is ETF?
Okay, your ETF has so many different things going for him. He's charming, he's handsome, the looks are an extra perk, don't get me wrong. He's such a family guy. What else? He has experience, he knows how to treat a lady. He even has some money to like make sure he can get you some nice gifts. He's got it all going for him. But, you know, all those great things help level out the things that might not be so great. He's long distance or, you know,
Emotionally unavailable.
He sometimes, you know, you need to help him with his unibrow, like every now and then. You know what I mean? Like there's
a few things in his closet that you're like, I need to get rid of.
Yeah, the fashion, guys, fashion. Come on, guys, you gotta pick it up. But you know, overall, they really balance each other out. So on any day he comes, he takes you out on a date and he comes in a god awful plaid shirt. And the socks he's wearing is just like totally clash, but he's opening the door for you. He comes to pick you up with roses and he's taking you out on a beautiful date in a city. Come on. Do they even out or do they even out?
It's also, think about it, it's less risky dating him than dating individual stock because you know basically that you're going to have a good time with ETF. That's our favorite, by the way.
Okay, moving on to our third contestant. I know our first 2 were so charming. You're like, I don't even need more. But we got 4 for you. So here's our third, and that is mutual funds.
Please welcome to the stage, mutual funds.
Welcome.
So mutual funds are going to be really quick because they are very similar to ETFs. Like ETFs, they're a basket of stocks. They're investing in way more than just one individual company by investing in a mutual fund. But they've got 2 differences.
So the first thing that's different is their age. The ETF guy, he's young, he's hip, he's cool, and don't get us wrong, the mutual funds guy is also hip and cool. He's just a little older. Think of like your mid-30s, you know, he's
and
just
that's
older.
because mutual funds have been around way longer than ETFs, which are pretty new.
Okay, the second thing that differentiates mutual funds from ETFs is when they can be traded.
Okay, so ETFs can be traded all day during the traded hours.
The trading hours for the market are from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Just ingrain that in your brain. That's like prime hours of your day. So the second difference between mutual funds and ETFs is that mutual funds can only be traded after the market closes at 4:30 p.m. What does that mean?
Great question. So you might, for an ETF, you see your Bachelor and you're like, wow, 10:30 a.m. you see the cutest brunch place and you're like, we've got to go. Cameron, let's go, right? ETF, let's go. I don't know, I just made that up. Cameron, let's go. ETF, let's go. And you pick them up and you go out to brunch. For ETFs, you see the ETF at a price at 10:30 a.m. Guess what? You could buy that second. However, with mutual funds, you might see the cutest date place at 10:30 a.m. pop up on your Facebook or your Instagram and you're like, that is adorable. That is such a good date night.
Cameron?
But Cameron only gets off at 4:30. So even though you're seeing really great things throughout the day, you can only go out at 4:30. And the same exact thing goes for mutual funds. You can only buy in, invest in a mutual fund at the end of the day at the closing price or in the beginning of the day before Cameron heads to work at the opening price. And that has its own risks as well because the opening and the closing price might not be the best deal, the best bargain you can get, but that's what comes along with mutual funds.
Now, everybody, please welcome our final contestant of the evening, contestant number 4, Bonds. James Bonds.
Yay! Okay, who is James Bonds? So we actually have gotten you girls an accent. We know the accents are the killer. So while individual stocks, ETFs, and mutual funds were all from America, they're all part of the equity market. Bonds, James Bonds, is actually from Brazil. He's an out-of-towner. He is a different market. He's from the debt market. Okay, so we got equity, we got debt, but he's got the accent. So let's give you a little background on bonds. James Bond.
Okay, so what is a bond? A bond is basically saying, I'm gonna take my money and I'm gonna lend it to someone else.
Whether it's a company or a government.
And I'm gonna give it to them for a set period of time, not giving it to them forever, because then you'll never get it back.
2 years, 5 years, 10 years, those are usual bonds times.
And when they pay me back my $1,000, they're gonna throw in a little extra to thank me in the form of interest, keyword, for lending them my money for so many years.
Okay, so moving on to the second piece of background information that you need to know about contestant number 4, bonds. His dad is the president of Brazil. Or
Whoa.
Do they even have a president? I don't know.
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister of Brazil. So guess what? Bonds gets just as much media attention as his father does. The paparazzi is all over him. And because of that, you are going to be dating the Prime Minister's son. And that means that he will not be going out to parties. It will be very difficult for him to go out in public. And therefore, he is less likely to take risks. He is conservative, very laid back,
Keyword.
very chill, conservative. And that is exactly what bonds are. Bonds are very, very safe, mostly because if you're giving the government, especially America, your money, it's a pretty safe bet that they'll be able to pay you back that money.
Or like a really large corporation that has a ton of money, you're not really worried that they're never going to be able to pay you back and that your investment's going to drop to zero, like you might be for an individual stock.
Right. So bonds, very conservative, pretty safe. James Bond is a pretty conservative and safe contestant. However, there are risks that come with bonds as well.
Such as with every contestant.
For bonds, those risks are inflation and interest rate risks. And we know that's a whole lot of Chinese right now. Do not worry, we will get into it in a later video. You just need to know that like ETFs, like mutual funds, like individual stocks that are all risky, have their own risks associated with them, bonds likewise have risks.
So now that we introduced you to the 4 contestants of the evening, you need to know one thing. When it comes to investments, when it comes to guys, every single one of them has a different level of risk. And with that different level of risk comes a different level of return, right?
And return is what you get out of them, right? So in terms of the stock market or in terms of the foreign exchange market, stock market equals the equity market that we spoke about, and the foreign exchange market equals the debt market that we talked about. There are associated risks.
So think about it like an individual stock. If I, as an investor, I wish I did, invested in Amazon on the day it went public, you were taking a huge risk. But guess what? That risk right now would have given you the craziest return of your life. If Amazon's currently trading at over $3,000, you would have become a millionaire. But you had no idea at the time Amazon went public that it was going to become what it is today. You were taking a massive risk. You need to have been ready for your investment to drop to zero.
And even though ETFs and mutual funds have a less associated risk with them because there's so many different stocks within them, there is still a huge risk that you are taking on by investing in either that mutual fund or that ETF. So basically what we just want to warn you guys about is that, listen, we hope, and usually the average return is around 8 to 10%. You will be making money in the long run. However,
long run.
Long run. However, you need to be ready to lose money as well, because on any given day, your stocks can go up and they can also go down.
And it's the same thing with a contestant, right? Like we're relating it to boys. Every single boy has different risks associated with them. Like you won't find the perfect guy. So you just need to know like what risks can I handle in a contestant, and so too what risks can I handle in an investment. Know yourself, know how risky.
Contestant and investment, that kind of rhymes.
I like it. But know yourself, know how much risk you can take.
And for every single bachelorette that we would have brought on to explore, these 4 great contestants would have chosen someone different, because each person has their own risk aversion. That means each person has their own level of risk that they are willing to take, and risk capacity,
which is how much risk they literally can take financially, without going broke.
So now that you guys know all the good stuff about these contestants, it's time to find out what type of dates you can go on for these contestants. So come back for our episode next week on The Bachelor in Money Paradise to find out the different dates that you can be taken on.
Really sorry to leave you on a cliffhanger, but Chris Harrison always does this, so we felt like it was okay.
Anyway, thanks for watching.
Bye.